looking Ibu Rifda, we're developing this AgriNext farm that focus on 360 circularities. And in West Sumatra, actually, the main attractions of the tourism village is the paddy field as well as the experience of the visitors in the local culinaries, which comes from the local events such as the one that we did together with the local government of Solok for the rice, the best rice from Solok. So there are a few of these areas of potential collaborations with the university in West Sumatra, and I'm truly very glad if we could work together, Professor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, professors. I think probably also we in West Sumatra we have main priority for 5 rural tourism in for agricultural tourisms by government of West Sumatra, Mas Menteri. Beside the one that we also have in general rural tourism. So to add the questions from the professors.
Thank you.
So ladies and I think this is end of the sessions because I think it's already 9 o'clock in this morning, and Mas Menteri, due to time limitation, I think we will close this and these sessions with probably take a picture together. Is it possible, Mas Menteri?
Sorry, is one question, Bu Sari, for Menteri.
I think because the time boundaries, we need to finish the presentations very soon, as Mas Menteri had another agenda this morning. So
okay.
Agenda is to take a photo session together.
Okay, thank you, Bu Sari. Thank you very much. Good morning, Menteri.
Okay, so everybody from the online participants, please open your camera. Okay, we take a photo session together. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, Mas Menteri, thank you
so much. Bye-bye, and success to the conference, and see you all soon in West Sumatra.
Thank you very much, Mas Menteri. See you.
Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for amazing discussion with our Minister, Mas Menteri Sandiaga Uno, and also our moderator, Ibu Dr. Sari Lenggogeni. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's remove the next agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, sebuah tarian yang merupakan tari penghormatan dalam acara-acara di Minangkabau sebagai wujud rasa hormat dan hati yang tulus terhadap tamu yang datang. Dengan menyuguhi daun sirih dan carano sebagai permohonan doa restu agar acara yang diselenggarakan berjalan dengan lancar.
A traditional culture that is a dance of respect in Minangkabau as a form of respect and sincere heart towards Gus Hakam by serving better leaves and carano as a prayer for blessings so that the event will be held well.
Rumah gadang dan sambilan ruang diukia urang Lubuk Gadang, disonsong silek joga lombang, tandorong Minang, barale gadang.
Cik, 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 cik.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's be giving applause for our International Conference on Sustainability Science and Development Innovation 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, as a part of Universitas Andalas, Graduate School Program has a vision with collaboration is become a leading postgraduate education institution in Indonesia and be recognized by the world of international education in 2028. In this international conference, let's take a look the wonderful program of Graduate School of Universitas Andalas in this video.
Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields. For improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process. Graduate program of Universitas
Ladies and gentlemen, moving to the plenary one, please welcome our moderator, Professor Dr. Rudy Febriamansyah. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to thanks to the committee to assign me as the chair for this very important and excellent international conference in this plenary one. Thanks to the committee, thanks to the director of graduate programs. I will also use Zoom for those who are attending online. Thanks for coming for all participants. Here in this first plenary session, we have 3 invited speakers. Is already on the Zoom? Yeah, okay. Let me first introduce those 3 invited speakers before we start for the presentation and discussion. We will have possibly about 1 hour or 1 hour, 1.5, yeah, for this plenary session. I myself is the Rudy Febriamansyah, the chairman for the doctoral program in development studies, School of Graduate Studies, Andalas University. And for the first invited speaker, tidak muncul di sini. We have Dr. John Glenn Sheniel, I suppose, Kumusta, Dr. John?
Yes, sir. Kumusta, Sad? Good
Okay,
morning.
and Dr. John Glenn Sheniel is the Associate Professor, Institute of Agriculture and Life Science, Davao Oriental State College of Science and Technology in the Philippines. He has PhD in Sustainable Development Studies from Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, Philippines in 2019, and Master Degree in Forestry, University of Southeastern Philippines, 2008, and Bachelor Science in Forestry, also from the University of Southeastern Philippines, 1994. His research specialization in watershed management, mangrove management, and blue carbon assessment. So far, he has produced a lot of research paper in this field of study. And for this international conference, he has already prepared the presentation entitled Comprehensive Watershed Characterization of the Mati Protected Landscape, Basis for Sustainable Watershed Management in the Philippines. We will hear later after all introduction been finished. And the second invited speaker, it's very fortunate for us here. We have Professor Bustanul Arifin. He already available with us here in this room. Professor Bustanil Arifin is professor in agriculture economic in the University of Lampung. He's also senior economist with the Institute for Development of Economic and Finance, INDEP, and professional fellows in the School of Business at IPB University. I'm sure that all of Indonesian participants already know him very well. He got PhD in Resource Economics from the University of Wisconsin, Madison, USA, and graduate Bachelor Sarjana in Agricultural Economics from IPB University. He also finishing the visiting professor in the University of Wisconsin, 2002-2013, with Fulbright Fellows in the University of Sydney, 2007 to 2008 from ALA Fellows, and University of Kentucky from 2019 to 2020, got SDID Fellows. Currently, he also holds a lot of position here. President of the Indonesian Society of Agricultural Economics, PERHAPI, Chairman of Statistical Society Forum, Chairman of National Commission of Agricultural Extension, Director of INDEP, the Economic Advisor to the House of Representatives, DPR RI, Chairman of Expert Group of Food Security Council. So far, Professor Bustanul has produced more than 45 books. Yeah, you can find in Amazon and also in Gramedia, and producing a lot of scientific papers, international and national papers, and especially you could find a lot of publication in magazine, newspaper, more than 1,000 articles there. In this conference, we'll be happy to have Professor Bustanul to give us the presentation about promoting innovation for resilience and sustainable agriculture and food system. Good morning, Prof. And the third invited speaker, I also seen Dr. Indrajit Pal, the Associate Professor and Chair in the Disaster Preparedness Mitigation and Management, Asian Institute Technology, Thailand. Dr. Indrajit, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay,
Thank you.
are there. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Indrajit got PhD in Seismotectonic and Earthquake Hazard from Vidyasagar University and Indian Institute of Technology, India, MA in Sociology, and MA in Applied Geology, 2 MA for Dr. Indrajit, and BSc in Geology, also from India. Currently, he also the Deputy Director of the Research Center SMARTS in IIT, Advisor to Disaster Risk Reduction and Governance in RIMS for Africa and Asia. So far, his research experience for more than 19 years in the field of disaster risk governance, in incident command system, hazard and risk assessment, community-based disaster risk management, public health risk, disaster resilience, and DRR education. So far, he has produced a lot of paper as well, 15 books. And in this conference, he will give us presentation entitled Resilience Pathway for Climate Hazard in Delta and Coastal System. That's 3 invited speakers for us in this plenary session 1. And not for long introduction, let me invite first Dr. John Glenn Seniel to give his presentation. It's time and screen for you, Dr. John. Can I call Dr. John or Dr. Glenn?
Yes, kumusta Usab? Then you can call me Dr. Glenn.
Dr. Glenn.
Okay. Before I'll share my experiences for this presentation, I would like to greet first, of course, the Masters of Ceremonies, Moderator Dr. Rudy Fibriana Mancia, to the faculty and staff of the Universitas Andalas, to the Rector of Universitas Andalas, Professor Dr. Yolandri, to the Director of the Graduate Program, Professor Dr. Nor Sherwan Effendi, to the Organizing Committee headed by Dr. Hasna, to this international conference keynote speaker, Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Ono, to my fellow plenary speakers, to all faculty and staff of all collaborating academic institutions from other countries across the world, and to the presenters, participants, and observers across the world to this international conference. Greetings of peace, prosperity, and a pleasant day to all of you. In our country's word, kumusta ka po kayong lahat? Magandang umaga. First of all, to the organizing committee headed by Dr. Hasna, thank you very much for inviting our institution, the Davao Oriental State University, as one of the collaborators for this prestigious international conference on sustainability, science, and development innovations. So as mentioned by our moderator, I am Dr. John Glenn Pisinil, an associate professor of the Davao Oriental State University, situated in the Davao Oriental province in the island of Mindanao of the Philippines. For a while, I will share to you my screen. Okay. Okay, so this is the presentation, a research that we've conducted, which we use as a basis for our extension projects here in Davao Oriental. Comprehensive watershed characterization of the Mati protected landscape, basis for sustainable watershed management in the Philippines. But before that, I will tour you first for a while, just a short, for a short time. So this is in Davao Oriental, situated the UNESCO inscribed Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. It's located in the municipality of San Isidro. So as you can see, this part here are portions of the mountains comprising the Mount Hamiguitan, and at a distance you can see the Pojada Bay Island. So this is the Pojada Bay, and considered one of the most beautiful bays in the world. So we have this Waniban Island overlooking. Here is the Mount Hamiguitan, and we have this Dinosaur Island. It is called as Dinosaur Island because of its shape, the landform shape. Okay. And we have also Alibabag Falls in Baganga, Davao Oriental. It is a falls with more or less 130 cascading waterfalls, and Corten Falls in Baganga, Davao Oriental, and the Carolina Lake in Baganga, Davao Oriental, and also the Niobabok Lake in Manay, Davao Oriental. Now, why I am showing this to you, because as mentioned by our keynote speaker, the Indonesia country is promoting the tourism and these are also considered as one of our tourist places here in Davao Oriental or throughout the Philippines for international and local tourists. And this is considered not as one of the economic source for our country. Now, I'm just showing this to you because we also have problems in our country, especially in our uplands, the watershed areas. So maybe contrary to this scenic beauty, scenic areas, our watershed areas also experience what we call the degradations. No? Okay. So the outline of my presentation will be talking about the physical characterization, biological characterization, and economic characterizations of the Mati-protected landscape. Since these three, the physical, biological, and socioeconomic components are the main components of the watershed. And of course, we'll talk about the synthesis of the findings about this characterization as used for our sustainable watershed management actions and strategies. We use the scientific data to transform this into governance and applied as one of the projects for the areas concerned or area concerned. Okay, so the location of the study areas here, as you can see here, in the city of Mati, it consists of 3 barangays: Barangay Sain, Barangay Central, and Barangay Kulian. And on 2005, through Presidential Proclamation number 912, it was declared to protect the city's watershed, the main source of water supply. Excuse me for a while. To put transparent. Then on 2008, through Republic Act 11038, it is included as protected area within the classification of national park pursuant to the Philippine Constitution. Now, the expanded National Integrated Protected Area System Act of 2018 provided some provisions, especially for the management of the area, compared to the Proclamation number 912 on 2005. So if you talk about management strategies, there can be seen in the Republic Act 11038. One of that is the apprehension of those violators, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the slope map characteristics. As you can see, the step areas, consisting larger part of the area, the rolling and moderately step, and gently sloping to undulating. So if you will imagine this one, it is really situated in a higher elevation with steep slopes. So looking to the figures of this area, we divided this into 2 sub-watersheds. And as you can see, the red ones for Tala sub-watershed, it consists really of 234 hectares, larger compared to the Banahaw sub-watershed. In general, Banahaw sub-watershed consists larger part. But if you look at the details, the Tala sub-watershed has steeper areas compared to Banahaw sub-watershed. So these are the basic information of the area. In terms of streams, we have this area overlaid to the Google Earth map. He had identified 4 number of streams for Banahaw sub-watershed and 3 for Tala sub-watershed. And then further information will be given through the discussions. No? So watersheds are valuable because this consists of forest and other natural resources. And in the Philippines, this is the sole sources of water in our country. Though in Luzon part or in the mountain areas of Luzon parts, they already utilize the surface water through dams and process the surface water to be potable water. But here in Mindanao or even part of Visayas, we still use the groundwater, no? The groundwater extracted through pumping. Okay, so in our country as of today, many of our watersheds are invariably degraded. So degraded, meaning, if you imagine of this, it cannot serve anymore of its function. Contrary to the scenic beauty that I presented a while ago, so our areas, especially our watershed areas, are now degraded. So this degradation takes on several forms, or the combination of these forms. And specifically, the forest degradation and soil erosion are the worst problems of most watersheds. Leads to the ecological degradation and rural poverty. And this makes the LGU or our national government, the watershed, very important to be managed. These scenarios are perceived to have happened here in our place, in the Mati protected landscape, as some of our studies shows it is now in varying degrees of degradation. So we will have this picture. This is contrary to the scenic beauty that I presented a while ago. So this picture here showing us the transformation of forested mountains to coconut or agricultural areas. So closely, we have this coconut, we have this corn, the forest areas transformed into agricultural areas through slash and burn farming. We have these landslides and we have these erosions in some farming areas. So these are evidences that the multi-protected landscape is already, in some cases, in some of its parts, some of its components are already degraded. For the studies, we use the natural concepts as for the theoretical framework that builds on the function and structure of watersheds as its two vital concepts in understanding and managing watersheds sustainably: function and structure. So by definition, topographically, a watershed is a topographically delineated area drained by a stream system, a complex natural system which normally contains one or more ecosystems that easily responds to the alteration of any of its components. Accordingly, the whole Philippines is considered as watershed. And from the findings that I mentioned before, that almost our watershed throughout the countries are all degraded. That is the findings from the DNR. So the so-called components are intricately related and interact with one another, creating natural processes such as performing work or functions and generating products or structures. So these functions and structures will be examined later. And this interaction of natural processes, linking the natural and human components, the physical, biological, socioeconomic, exhibit what can be called system-like behaviors. So the physical, biological, and socioeconomic components will be characterized, and this data will be used to as basis for the sustainable watershed management. So once each of these is altered and separated, it would not be capable of generating and maintaining functions and structures that the intact watershed system can generate. Okay, so to make it tangible, we use the conceptual framework that argues that human in a watershed ecosystem is the most critical component that profoundly affects the sustainability of the watershed. So these human activities can either degrade or improve the conditions of the watersheds, so including its water quality, forest vegetations, community life of the people. And it is considered as degraded once there is a reduction in its economic, social, and environmental benefits to communities. So this is our gauge, as declaring it degraded once there is a reduction in its economic, social, and environmental benefits to communities. And it is healthy when the hydrologic, habitat, and water quality conditions are still capable of protecting human health, maintaining viable ecological functions and processes, and supporting self-sustaining population of wildlife species whose natural ranges include the watershed. And these conditions, the degraded and are considered as constraints, and the health conditions as potentials, which in turn used as the basis for the sustainable watershed management actions. Okay, through conceptually, we have this flow of concepts that reach to the sustainable watershed management actions and strategies that we use. So the present state of economic circumstances, micro-level information, the present state of physical circumstances, the present state of biological circumstances. All of these are assessed, reflecting to the watershed structures and functions if they are considered as constraints or potentials. And these are all utilized for the coming up of a sustainable watershed management plan. So firstly, we did comprehensive watershed characterizations. So hopefully you will not be exhausted by the scientific data that we are going to present, because these are all basis, we use this. So for the soil erosion condition, we study the soil erosion condition, a very simple way but acceptable one. It shows that the open farm area has the highest relative volume in terms of percentage, 50.15%. Semi-open farm area and secondary forest area follows. Yes, of course, because secondary forest area has a lesser, because it still has what we call crown cover that can protect the direct impacts of erosion, and of course with the presence of trees. And statistically, the difference in terms of average depth of soil loss is statistically significant. We have this approximate computation based on the data that we've gathered, a volume of soil in grams per hectare of 168,730,324 grams, or convert that into metric tons, 168.73 metric tons per hectare. And second one is 102.19, and the last one is 65.52 metric tons hectares. So and this is very alarming, because the average here in the Philippines is only 10 to 15 metric tons per hectare. Okay, for the soil fertility also we test that, and mostly strongly acidic, mostly of the findings, strongly acidic, strongly alkaline. For the organic matters, very low, very low. And for the potassium, very low. and some others, the magnesium, the calcium here is very high, and generally we have a clay loam soil texture. So these are also used in coming up management as actions and strategies. And for the land use and land cover data, we have these figures here, 60.98 for the Banahaw sub-watershed areas, and Tala sub-watershed areas has higher, 66.67 in terms of agricultural areas, and the protection forest and the production forest have lesser figures. Now, this is the reverse situation, because according to the United Nations guidelines, as a watershed area, the forest protection or forest production part must be 60% above. But in these findings, it is reversed, because the agricultural areas has the largest part. So these are done by the communities, as what our theoretical framework mentioned, that the communities plays very important role in the production or the degradation or the situation of the watershed as a whole. So agricultural areas, mix of annual and perennial crops, mixed farms of coconut and understory crops, mono-coconut farm, cornfield and farm fallow. So for the forest production, the forest fallow system, or the regenerating forest through succession, and there are also some areas with the Yemeni plantation, or the so-called Jimelina, or the so-called industrial trees planted in the areas. For the hydrology, we have a linear mainstream flow, but it is very minimal, because only 0.16 cubic meter, 0.8, 0.12, 15, 0.21, 0.14, 0.15, 0.13 cubic meter per second. That is the discharge for both, for the Binawangan Creek. This was conducted on September 2017 up to March 2018. And for the biological, physical, and chemical analysis, still with its remarks, they are within standards, But as far as phosphate, nitrogen, and the biological parameters, as far as DAO, the DNR Administrative Order 1990-34 guidelines, for these streams, they are not recommended. However, the presence of fecal coliform and the Escherichia coli is very alarming, because there is a 10,304 units in PN per 100 ml. So that will really affect the condition of the stream water in the area. So in consuming these informations or scientific data, we cite some sustainable goals, in relation to the possible actions influenced by its physical characteristics. So the action that we are going to do will be contributed to the SDG goal 2.4. So by 2030, ensure sustainable food production systems and implement resilient agricultural practices and increase productivity and production, and help maintain ecosystems that strengthen capacity for adaptation to climate change, extreme weather, drought, flooding, and other disasters, and progressive improve land and soil quality. And also achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all. So we have these excuse me, okay. So we have this synthesis of the data for soil erosion condition. We can say, because of the 303.44 metric tons, this is already considered severe soil erosion, and it's very alarming because, as I mentioned a while ago, 10 metric tons is allowed only. So this is considered what we call the scientific data considered as a degrading factor in the NPL, and it is considered as constraints. So degradation specifically of land, soil degradation, vegetation degradation, water degradation, and landscape degradation, and land conversion. So the corrective actions that are proposed. So for agriculture, this must be only in the 0 to 18% slope. Agroforestry for 18 to 30 severe erosions, and production forest 18 to 30% slope. Now, our intervention in the area is only, as of now, we only intervene through the agroforestry projects, and I will show that to you later. And for prevention, so protection forest 18 to 30% slope. This must be structurally and vegetative measures for river banks and buffer zones. And the strict application of the relative provisions on the NIPAS Act, the old one, the Republic Act 7586, and the enhanced one, or the expanded one, the RA 11083. That is only for erosion condition. And for soil fertility, still, it is still in the degraded condition, and we have these corrective actions, soil enhancement for agroforestry farming system, and vegetative strips for promoting, restoring soil quality. And still, this is considered as constraints. And for land use determination, still considered as degraded and considered as also as a constraints. And we have this corrective action, the same as what I mentioned, earlier. Then vegetative strips for promoting and restoring soil quality, and of course the establishment of protection forest. And for the stream flow, it is considered now as a healthy one because this considered as base flow, shallow, perennial, indicates the presence of permeable rocks in NPL. Now, base flow, this is an indicator that the stream water is present throughout the year and available for the use of the community. And it is considered as potential. Okay. And water quality, still healthy based on Dow 1990-34 and considered as potential. And for policy, imposition of the relative provision under the Clean Air Act, and of course, ecological solid waste management in order to prevent further contamination to the stream water quality. So the recommendation for this: maintain, enhance, and protect the physical characteristics of NPL, having potential in the development of watershed in the development of appropriate management actions for the integrated watershed management plan, and strategies must focus to protect and rehabilitate the constraints so as to regain the ability of the NPL to capture and store more rainwater and promote more conservation for the effective use of water resources. Now, another data that we use is the biological watershed characterization of the NPL. So we have this floral composition and structure. As you can see, mostly of the plants there are at the sapling stage. . Okay. And as you look at this, it is followed by mature stands and of course with seedlings. So these are indicators that the vegetation in the area can still regain because of the presence of regeneration, seedling, and saplings. And in terms of the species, as you notice there, the coconut, this is an agricultural plant, gain the highest importance value, followed by what we call this one, buyo-buyo, considered as the what we call this species invaders, no? The limani, or the plantation species of industrial species, and followed by some species which has a very low importance value. So in general, accordingly, once it can reach to 100 importance value, the figure percentage of importance value can reach to 100, they are considered as poor. So meaning this species dominates the area, and this is indicator that the area is now agriculture area. Then endangered species, we have this also endangered species, and we have also birds. These figures of birds in terms of by the diversity. Yes, good diversities. Then and we also identify endangered species, and also reptiles and amphibians, and also mammals. So mammals has a very low diversity, no? And this data were utilized for possible actions contributing to ISD Goals 15, protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity. Now, for the synthesis of this, for the land cover, both are degraded and considered as constraints. No? For the vegetation, also degraded and considered constraints. And assessment of conservation status, degraded, all degraded. And birds, reptiles, amphibians, fauna assessment, all provide us a degraded condition. And recommends, for the recommendation, the land cover of the NPL should be revived and administered based on existing law provided by the guidelines of watershed management in the Philippines. And vegetation of the NPL must be enriched using prescribed reforestation species in order to regain and increase its structure and diversity. And proper delineation, rehabilitation, and protection of habitat for the fauna species, especially those considered threatened species. For the comprehensive socioeconomic watershed characterization, we have this human component in the watershed ecosystem is perhaps the single most critical component that profoundly influences the sustainability of the watershed. So through RESOLVE, we contribute this to ISD Goal 1, reduce at least half by the proportion of men, women, and children of all ages living in poverty. By 2030, ensure that all men, women, in particular the poor and the vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources. Okay, so these are the findings, micro-level informations. There are some potentials and constraints, and these are prioritized as number one. The external circumstances, there are also constraints and potentials, and we prioritize this as number one. And community environment, there are also some constraints and potentials. So all of these are used for management actions that we've done. So the underlying cause for the degradation of NPL is mainly due to poverty as determined by low income and farming as their main source. So these are aggravated by conditions such as no sustainable livelihood, less access to services, and less organization capacity. So this consequently lead to the destruction of NPL in various forms such as the biodiversity degradation, climate degradation, vegetation degradation, water degradation, landscape degradation, and land conversion and soil erosion that leads to soil degradations. So obtain more for the recommendations, obtain a more rational structure of land use such as to reduce cultivate farmland and increase forest area, and increase the productivity of land and per capita income of farmers by introducing feasible and sustainable alternative livelihoods. Farming practices must be reduced water and soil losses by adopting agroforestry technology. And for general conclusion, the so-called comprehensive watershed characterization affirms the study hypothesis that the conditions of the functional structures of NPL are very important basis in determining appropriate management actions in the formulation of sustainable water management program. And it provides clear, accurate, and scientific information describing the underlying causes, the present conditions of watershed for the development of potential protection and restoration management actions. The overall findings can be used in developing a watershed management model, not only for the NPL, but for the whole watershed in the Philippines. So before I will give you my acknowledgement of gratitude, I will first show to you some of the efforts that we did based on the findings, no? Pwede pa ba? Can we still extend, ma'am?
Yes.
Can we still extend?
Yeah, give you time to show it.
Okay. So I would like to share excuse me for a while. Enlarge this one. Enlarge this one. Enlarge, yeah.
No, not coming yet.
I will share the other slide. Okay, please, I can see the share. New share. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the projects that we provided in the area based on the findings. This is a collaborative project by the DBP, or the Development Bank of the Philippines, of which our financer, the province of Davao Oriental, and the city of Mati, and the DENR. So the project is entitled DBP DOSST. This is named as the name DOSST is our old name of the institution, Reforestation Project in the area. So we have this update, you know. So these are the introduced species for the reforestation project. They are the cacao, the fruit trees, and the rubber trees. No? So the cacao and the fruit trees are now productive, except for rubber, you know, because rubber will be tapped later, you know, because of their diameters, you know, the tappable diameters, which are not yet considered to be tappable. You know? So this is our introduced rubber in the area, and this project covers 100 hectares within the Mati protected landscape. Okay, so that's all. I will So thank you very much for inviting our institution and also myself for this prestigious international conference.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give applause to Dr. Glens, and that's very amazing presentation, yeah. Had shown us the studies into watershed, starting with the informing us the issues, and then also present us a comprehensive methods, yeah, very comprehensive and holistic. And we have seen also the result in regard to that watershed. A lot of identification have been presented, not only physical aspect but also socio-economical aspect in the study side using the socio-ecological perspective. And Dr. Glenn have present also policy implication to the sustainable watershed management in that side. And it, in the conclusion, he said that it not only applicable for these two watersheds, can be also applied in other watershed in Philippines, and maybe can be also duplicated in Asia especially. And for the student who do research in watershed management, I think it's very interested to learn from this study. Thank you very much, Dr. Glenn. And now we are
You're
moving
welcome,
to the
sir. Thank you.
for those participants who interested to give question and respond, please write down in the chat room. Yeah, I noticed already one here from Dr. Erwanto. We will give a chance later after those three speakers give presentation. I invite also the others who could write in chat room for those who are available online. Now, let's us move to Professor Bustanul Arifin. It's time and screens also for you.
Thank you very much, Professor Rudi Febriamansyah. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me take off the mask. Thank you very much for the organizing committee who invited me to share my thoughts and research results on the team. Who else here? Ibu Hasna, Pak Yona, those who are still in Zoom. In the next, hopefully 20 minutes, let me share what I have prepared. Hopefully I can use this sometime. If I'm using this, it's not going very well. Let's see. Oop. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I can do. Okay. At least I have 4 topics that I'd like to share, Pak Rudi. First, I'd like to update about the Indonesian economy. Okay. Then the latest results from G20 last week in Bali. That the thing probably that we should think of together in this team, but suitability, not sustainability, suitability and profitability issues of our land use and farming system. Then I would like to share the latest development of rice productivity, which is also, I think we should think of all together. The productivity, the figure of productivity does not reflect innovation and technological change. That I think we should think of this together. Ladies and gentlemen, generally in our macroeconomics, we are doing okay. If you see that picture, I think you are here in the room, can see this graph. The Indonesian macroeconomy grew at about 5.7% on the third quarter, which is good. However, only grows at about 1.65. Okay, it's very slow, small enough to contribute to poverty alleviation, job creation, and so on. Okay, I put the data there, and then you can download it later about the poverty figures of the in Indonesia, big island regions actually, by region. If you want to see detail about the growth performance of our subsectors of agriculture, you can see that I put the red color for those that experience negative. Then dark color, if you see the growth positive. Food crop, okay? Food crop subsectors grow negative 7.97%. It's very small. Contraction. Why? Maybe you ask why. Well, this the seasonality of the Indonesian agriculture is very high. During third quarter normally from July, okay, until August and September, there's no harvest. Production decline. If you multiply it by price to become the GDP, and normally the values is very slow. That's why you have negative. Similarly, with forestry sector is also negative. Okay. That thing I would like to ask your attention. How about the demographic change? This is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. That demographic change, I think, should reflect that on our team, especially when we think about the recovery in the future. Look at that, what do you call, demographic change and population pyramid. I think everybody's in the room understand about population pyramid, okay? The main thing of this slide like this, the percentage of young age population 0 to 14 declining. Now it's about only maybe less than about 20%. In the 70s, young age is about 40%, okay? The percentage of elderly is increasing. Then I think you have heard about the productive people in the age of 15 to 65. Of course, they are productive. They are working age like ourselves. I think you have heard about the population, what do you call, demographic dividend or bonus demography. I think you have heard about that. The key issues in our discussion here, if we cannot improve the productivity of that productive age group, then we cannot take benefit of demographic dividends. That's also very important. So what is the implication? As you can see the population pyramid here, this time our younger generation, our young groups of age still high, but it start getting slimmer and slimmer. In 2045 it's getting slimmer, so the middle age is increasing. Then in the 27th, there's really functional, use for the health, very beneficial for what do you call, to maintain the age, maybe for keep young or something. That's very important if you want to stay young. So the food policy have to change. We should not think of only for the volume. Probably we do not have to have pajale anymore. Pajale is padi jagung kedelai, rice, maize, and soybean. So we have to improve the added value of that food. That's also our calls. That we need innovation. Okay, if we think about the food system approach, I think we have heard about that. We have read through this all the time. Okay, our food system consists of production, value chains, distribution, consumption, and so on. And the outcome of that is food security. So in the left and the right side of that slide, you can see is also the social welfare, also the outcome of our food system, and environmental welfare. So we have to think of the broader issues of sustainability from social, economics, and environment. This also, in terms of food system, this is the reflection of it. Okay. If you want to link with the global issues, in relation to global environmental change, actually it is the same. We're just expanding into the different dimension of global environmental change. You have to be alert about what happens globally, climate change, politics, and so on. From that issues, there's a work by Joachim von Braun. Joachim was director of IPRI, is now back to campus. He expand the food system, that's the new food system that we require our research on it, to link health system, economic environments, ecology and climate system, and science innovation system. That's actually our theme here. Our theme of the conference. It really fits into that kind of conceptual framework. We have to ensure access to safe and nutritious food, shift to healthy and sustainable consumption patterns, boost nature positive production, advance equitable livelihoods, and building resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, in our last G20 meeting, that has also been reflected in the commitment of our leaders, such as promote investment in improving sustainable and climate resilience technologies. That's the wording from them. Develop economically viable agriculture, which is capable of generating stable incomes, creating decent and quality jobs and opportunities for farmers and agricultural workers and members of their families and rural communities. That's also very complete. It's kind of a statement. Then improve food, adhere to principle of open, fair, predictable, transparent, promote innovative agriculture entrepreneurships through digital innovation in agriculture and food system. I think this is very complete. So our conference here and the theme of G20 for food and environment, I think is very compatible. Let's see what's happened in the last 60 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this data are analyzed by Martin Koim, Professor Martin Koim. He is now moved to Bonn. He was with Göttingen earlier. Martin Koim is the president of IAAE, International Association of Agricultural Economics. When he made this kind of classification, it's very interesting. You can see the green color, the yellow color, the blue, and the red color. And the green color, which is the growth of productivity, is getting smaller. Maybe we are now in the stage of what you call leveling off. We need to think through about that. Compared to last decades, today is quite smaller. Then you can have the number. Thanks to him, thanks to Martin who do analysis on that. And I think this is also the calls for more sustainable development approach. If you see the dark color, red color, dark red, the land expansion of our global agriculture is increasing. What does it mean? It means the sustainability getting threatened over there. That's really something. So we have to what you call twist, if we can, to have the technology that have both improving the productivity, intensification, but in the vision of sustainability. That's, I think, the call of this conference as well, I believe. Okay, how to translate into action. If you see that picture, we have to think, as we are agricultural people, we have to think whatever we promote, innovation and investment and so on, we have to think of farmers' welfare. We have to be number one. terhappy untuk kesejahteraan petani. Okay, that's very important. I put it that we should not neglect the existence of farmers. Kenapa kelap dulu? Ladies and gentlemen, let's think about that, where we can fit into that diagram. Because recently, that's the picture of our TFP, total factor productivity. That's also, this work's conducted by Kate Fugli. That's also the one that one is actual growth, now it's getting declining again. And he divided between regions in Asia. The thing that we have here in Indonesia, and that big island, Papua, Kalimantan, and Sumatra, the difference in natural forest, the difference in yellow color, that's the existing, our farming system. Okay, in Papua, the majority is still forest. In Kalimantan, some already. In Sumatra is almost gone. So the analysis from that work also is very important. I think you can download it, that report from the World Bank. Only 42% suitable. Only 42% of existing farming system actually suitable. 29 not suitable, but can be addressed. Another 29% not suitable, but limiting factors cannot be addressed. That's the challenge of our sustainability and innovation development. Java, I think, is out of analysis because Java is very small. So if we want to increase food production through extensive land, expansion of the land, such as food estate and so on, we have to think through about that, which is very important. These works, these studies promote or suggest agroforestry, okay, instead of monoculture. When I applied that into our rice figures, our rice performance, if you can see that 0.55, this declining. Today, I read this article in Kompas, I think you can download it. I explain about that table in our article. Then the things are available. We have available technologies on by our scientists. They do very good job in providing seeds, new varieties and so on. But how is the adoption? The adoption is very low. Everybody's now still using Ciherang, variety of Ciherang. Ciherang was produced 23 years ago, but our farmers still adopted it. So there is a gap in technology with the adoption. That's the role of extension, okay? And farmers' empowerment is very important. We talk about technology, we talk about innovation, we have to involve our extensions guy. Pak Heri Barizal Tanjung here is the champion of extension. If you see this adoption, the new technology such as InPari and so on is very small adoption, only 6%. It's very small. So there's no point. So the gap between what available in research and the adoption by farmers is very small. If our farmers still use old varieties, Ciherang and Mekonga, which has been produced 20 years ago, there's something missing in the adoption level, okay? I propose a lot of things, Pak Rudi, but I don't have to get through that. But we have to make priority between strategic research and action for quick win. We have to do long-term collaboration with private sectors, and if possible, revitalize the PTP, AIIT, Agricultural Institute of Agricultural Technology, okay, agricultural technology. This is very, very important. We have to revive that role. Maybe I'm speaking because I'm also head of National Extension Commission. And because of the theme of the conference, we have to do transdisciplinary approach. Not only multidisciplinary, but transdisciplinary. Transdisciplinary like transgender, okay? Transdisciplinary, we have to learn something in forestry. You have to learn something in irrigation. That's the thing. But we have to bring them in the team. I think I will stop here. Thank you very much. We have discussion later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Bustanul Arifin, who has given us an update issues, yeah, and also update talks from G20. And one thing's coming up from Prof. Bustanul is about the issues of functional food, yeah, the changes. People's now not only looking to have food quantitatively, but they are thinking now food qualitative, yeah, in quality, I mean, yeah, food for health, food for ecology and others. This is really guiding what will be the agriculture development from now on. And we are happy to have also some great idea from Prof. Bustanul about strategic agenda to achieve that. Especially about transdisciplinary, yeah, where the graduate school here really promoting multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and also transdisciplinary discipline to address issues in development, to promote and also to advocate approach for better development, especially for the welfare of farmers when we talk about agriculture development. Any question to Prof. Bustanul, please write down in the chat room. Yeah, we will address that later. And we can now move on to the third presenter, Dr. Indrajit Pal. Dr. Henry raise hand, but please keep later on. Can you? We finish the presentation. I will note that you already raise hand. So for the other who didn't write down in the chat, you can raise your hand and I will address later. Dr. Indrajit.
Can you see my screen? Thank you, Dr. Rudy.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. It's really a privilege for me to speak in this August audience, and really feeling great to participate in this international conference. Let me project next slide.
Grand dari luar tuh yang dia cari memang yang sedang tren, jadi terpaksa kita ngikutin. Nggak bisa, teman-teman yang selama ini studi di bidang dia seperti nggak dapat, ya berubahlah sedikit. Kalau nerusin yang lama, tren kalau bicara global trend research. Still have problem?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Waiting, yeah. Okay, it's coming up. Oh, down again. Do you need us to help you to show the screen?
There is some, I'm not sure, like.
Okay, still trying, okay.
Can you see any? Sorry, I mean, let me see. I believe that screen for me.
PPT dia ada nggak? PPT dia ada? Oke, it's coming. Dia mau coba sendiri.
Okay, I'm really sorry.
Okay, there already.
Sorry for somewhere there was some issue. There's some screens. Okay, so thank you so much for this interesting, organizing this interesting and very important conference. And from morning, I think there are very interesting presentation as well. I'd like to give one quick session on sustainability science and the development innovation, this conference about a resilience pathway for climate hazards in delta and coastal. So I'll give you a few case studies so that we have some ideas and activities, what from AIT, what research and what type of contributions are going on to the social development as well. So this is these are the books actually we published from AIT on resilience and sustainability. One of the book is also Professor Yunadija is also one of the co-editor. Very recently published is volume 1, Proceedings on Second International Symposium on Disaster Resilience and Sustainable Development. With Andalus University and AIT, we have a joint project. Professor Yunadija was also one of the core team member, and he is also one of the editors in this book as well. And there are a few projects right now I'm handling on delta resilience and also critical infrastructure resilience for the social transformation and related issues, and how we can do the multi-hazard related risk assessment and take appropriate mitigation measures. Before the session detail, maybe I'd like to quickly give you an update about who we are from AIT. I think many of you are familiar with AIT. It's an international university located in Bangkok in Thailand, and there actually we have one disaster management program, which is interdisciplinary program. Our previous speaker talks about the transdisciplinary approach of solving any problems. So we started this disaster management program also happened in Indonesia and in Bay of Bengal. So after that, there was a increase in the professional skill and knowledge from disaster management, and AIT started in 2008 in this program to offer the doctoral degree, highlighting this key area of research. And so far we have about 30 to 40 projects on this in this region and non-region as well. This is our educational footprint, like the students we are receiving from 23 countries so far. So these are our alumni base for disaster management. So we are trying to address this disaster management in a holistic way. These are the country-wise enrollment for until last semester. Okay, so moving ahead with climate-related disasters. So I'd like to talk about how the climate hazards and climate disasters are actually impacting in a chronological sequence. If we see from 1980s to 2019, like almost very recently, so the climate and weather-related hazards, this blue color, is going up and up with the time. So I think we need to address this issue very, very strongly. Otherwise, like we have seen last 30 years, the end of these climate and weather-related disasters are really increasing. And if you see the left side, this is a very simple one, like number of disasters per year. So we can take the frequency of the disaster and weather-related are really increasing in the recent 20-30 years. There will be various reasons. It's not only the climate change, there are also anthropogenic changes and also human-related activities and unplanned development. There are many issues we can address, but one of the issues also need to be addressed is climate change. So that is not a local solution, but local action can contribute to the global. So there's no global action to do some our end, and impact will be at the global level. So climate and change and floods, if we see some of the disasters, like one of the major disasters related to the climate and meteorological events are floods. So we have seen like for the global warming events, so the color also shows you like the dark blue color and this next light color. So most of the blue color is about the hydrometeorological hazards, and the lower part you can see is the flood is the most impacted and or numbers. If you go the frequency, flood is the most frequent hazards or disasters came into in this region and as a whole in the world. So this is a very recent report from 2020 report of disaster management published by UN. This map actually can explain about the population exposed to the floods. So we can see the population density in this region are quite significant. So if we see Indonesia and India and China and Vietnam and Bangladesh in this region are more or less dark color next to China. So if we see the next level of a number of population affected, Indonesia is the next level, and I think it's a very significant number in the global index for the flood exposed population. So flood exposed population here, flood considered not only the riverine flood, also the coastal flood as well. So so that's why, like, I think for the storm surge related floods and the riverine flood is significantly impacting Indonesia as well. So climate change impacts is the area segment. Actually, we have seen their linkages, the SDGs, linkages with the local level development as well. And most recently, the G20 updates. That was really, really amazing. So I think we can also see the context here, like the climate change impact in various sectors. Not all the SDGs are mentioned here in specifically, but we can get the overlaps here. So starting from the coral bleaching to the tropical cyclone to the extreme heat, there are so many things happening in there. So I think some of the climate hazards can be assessed and also some extent mitigated with our action. So this is very popular diagram on IPCC AR5, and recently also we got AR6, annual report 6 of IPCC. A couple of months back, actually, it's published. But this is the diagram from the previous report, IPCC AR5. So here we have seen like the vulnerability, and exposure and the hazard events actually contributing to the disaster risk. And development and disaster management and climate change adaptation is one of the major contributing factors, some of the major contributing factor, which is actually driving the risk part of it. So that means like the vulnerability and exposure. Vulnerability and exposure, these two are playing a significant role in the disaster risk increasing or decreasing. Depends on the development pattern, depends on our capacity of disaster management, and also climate change adaptation. So all these three things together are contributing to the vulnerability and exposure, and eventually it is regulating or controlling the disaster risk as well. Yeah, so these are the few detailed points actually on these three components: vulnerability, hazards, and exposure. What are the actions can be taken to reduce that particular segment? So say for example, like I'll give you one quick example on the exposure. I mentioned a large section of Indonesia and large section of Southeast Asian countries are exposed to flood hazards. So if we see the actions to reduce the exposure is like coastal retreat and resettlement, risk-sensitive land use planning. So the second part is very, very important. Like if we have a land use land cover change map available, and also if you have a hazard map and also the risk map with the time series of a couple of years, and also if you can get the future projection of climate hazards. So really we can do the risk-sensitive land use planning, and that is very much possible. Early warning systems and evacuation. So early warning system is improved a lot for last 10 years, and evacuation system also need to be synced with that early warning system. In some of the places, like we have very strong early warning
sa HR.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Can the host, can you mute others?
Okay, continue, Dr. Indrajit.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a
So we have seen in many countries like early warning system is improved a lot, but maybe the population who's supposed to respond to that early warning system, they don't know even like after receiving the early warning where they need to go, what action they need to do. So that part is the evacuation process. So that part is somewhere not that much addressed in supposed to be it addressed, right? Like in Bangladesh and India, in Thailand and Indonesia also, like early warning system improved. But I think these are the few examples. Maybe we can go in detail also in each of the sections. Moving on. So next part is how we can actually go for the resilient development. We know all this international framework. There are 15 years of framework, international strategy and framework developed in terms of the sustainable development goals from 2015 to 2030. And this is a national agenda for more or less all UN signatory countries. And then we have international action for Paris Agreement as well, also in 2015. And the next one is very important in Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. That is also in 2015. So 2015 to 2030, we have 3 international framework which actually contributing or supporting the resilience building and resilience development of the country. And most of the countries are actually taken action to achieve SDGs and as well as to address Sendai framework and also the climate action. So this is a very standard process on the right side. If you see, it's a very interesting one. If we have less resilience and less resilient society, so this is a business as usual model. And if there are some acute hazard or disaster, though that business usual curve will go down, means our things will be disrupted like the time we have faced during COVID. And we are really happy to know from the tourism ministry person like tourism also improved or increased the economic situation in Indonesia. I think that also adapted in some other countries as well. So this is the process, like how best we can do in the resilience building, we can recover faster. So, and that recovery process will be much closer to the normal curve. So as fast as we can go to the normal curve, it's better for us. The response time will be less. So the country who are having more capacity and having more resilient process in the various aspects in the economy, in the society and the infrastructure and all, and even in the investment, that could give us some leverage to come back to the resilience much faster. Otherwise, like we can see this type of situation, there will be a permanent loss which cannot be recovered at all. Like if we have no resilience process in the place. This diagram will give you some understanding about how the resilience toolkit, we are also generating or developing from AIT some of the toolkits, how we can actually measure the resilience of different systems like infrastructure or maybe school or maybe livelihood systems. So how best we can develop this toolkit, and we can also do the assessment so that the respective ministry or respective administration can take decision on that or make a plan accordingly for the future mitigation and also adaptation to reduce the disaster risk. So now I'll give you a quick overview of the Asian Delta, mega deltas. Actually, there are many deltas in this region, but I'm pointing out few major deltas, which is located in Southeast Asian part. So we have seen like Mekong Delta, we have seen Pearl River Delta in China, Chao Phraya River Delta in Thailand, Ayavardi in Myanmar, GBM Delta in Bangladesh and India, Indus Delta in Pakistan. I have just mentioned few, for example. So these are the potential stressor where what actually impacting or insisting to increase the exposure and vulnerability, and eventually it is increasing the risk also. So one of the component is sea level rise. So these are the potential stressor for the delta, which is actually increasing the or decreasing the resilience or increasing the vulnerability. Climate change, increasing frequency and intensity of the hazards, change in land use and land cover, that is also, I mean, unplanned sometimes. Intensification of the agriculture and aqua cultivation. So there is a large number of diversification and changes in the livelihood as well. A rapid population growth, development of the industrialization and urbanization, poverty, and unsustainable engineering solution, and flow alteration for hydropower in place, like wherever it is applicable. So if you see the global risk index for the delta landscape, so the area in the Southeast Asia actually having very high risk index. So what you have done, like maybe in Mekong Delta, I'll give you a quick overview, like what right now AIT as a research organization and education institution contributing to the resilience building. We call resilience pathway, so it will be a supportive documentation and research support for the government organization who can utilize the product of the risk assessment. So Mekong River is one of the largest river in this region. Like it's about 4,350 kilometers long and covering about 5 countries. So this is a large area actually covered by these are the Mekong Delta River Basin boundary. So if you see the left bank and right bank river basin, so we can see the potential contribution to the total Mekong River Basin in terms of the annual flow. So this is the precipitation distribution. So it's an annual mean annual precipitation collected from the global data. So if you see the climate change impact, so the average basin-wide change in dry season rainfall is projected to vary between -23% to +23% by 2060, and wet season rainfall between -18% to +16%. So I think the variation by 2060 projection, so it is quite significant. The annual river flow also changing like -59% to +27%, and dry season minimum one day flow changing between -65 to +35%. So that's really significant, and potential water security impact will be in the hydropower production, and also the industry, which is also heavily depends on the water, especially the river water. Agricultural yield, the agricultural field, which is dependent on the irrigation water, and also yield from the fisheries and aquaculture, and overall food security will be really, really impacted. So to understand that, we have a small project from the Asia Pacific Network. I'll show you in the latest slides. So these are the potential impact. Just we have given one segment of impact understanding about agricultural yields in 3 or 4 countries here, like Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. So there are 2 different colors we have simulated from RCP 4.5, a normal case scenario, and it's an extreme scenario for RCP 8.5. So in these 2 cases, like what will be the change of production in wet season by 2060, and similar for the dry season also. So in both the cases, we have also simulated the flood inundated area. Like if you see, like 39% of Vietnam will be inundated, and around 23% of Laos will be inundated. And Thailand, since like Thailand coverage of Mekong River Delta for Thailand is a little bit less, so the percentage of flooding is also less in inundated area. So the next, like we are right now doing one mega project for, it's called Living Delta Hub research project. It's about around 28 to 30 universities across the globe, and around 130 researchers in this project, and 3 countries involved. I'm leading one of the work package on the risk and resilience. So this project actually talking about the complex development challenges and how to avoid the collapse of the South and Southeast Asian delta as a functioning highly productive and socio-ecological system. So in short, like we have tried to develop, like understand the risk profile of the area in terms of the physical context, also the sociological context, and also cultural context. So these 3 perspectives are very, very important, and that's why like the project is a mega scale, and starting from the water sampling to the sociological mapping from the household survey of about 5,000 samples. So that is also going on. So these are the study area. Actually, right now the project is placed in Hanoi, in Red River Delta. Ho Chi Minh area, like it's a Mekong side, Mekong River, Mekong Delta. This is the GBM spread across Bangladesh and India. So these 3 areas actually are the study area. We are trying to understand the delta resilience perspective in terms of the human intervention and so also natural interventions, and trying to also giving the physical model, numerical model, as well as like sociological model. Okay, so I'll give you like few quick scenario. So these are the area actually we have studied for one, like GBM, if we see the land use and land cover changes, and also the canal distribution here, like from 1990 to 2020 is about 30 years of data. And if we see the land use change and also the canals. So in 30 years, the red lines here, the dead canals are actually, we can see a lot of dead canals. So the canals are active in 1990, are dead in 2020. So these are the potential impact in also in locality of where the system is very much dependent on the agriculture and other type of activity which is water dependent or river water dependent. So these are the few significant impacts. This is one example. There are a few more. These are the density of, if we go with the density of the water distribution system or canal system, this could be one of the area. We can see high density in 1990 here, but it's getting a little bit of less. So we can understand like the water bodies are getting less and less with time. And this is very interesting one, like also I think significantly important for Indonesia as well. Conversion of agricultural land to the sweetwater ponds into aquaculture. So there are many agricultural land which is also converted over time for the aquacultural activity. And many of the times that aquacultural activities are not going for too long for various challenges, and then that land cannot come back to the agriculture again. So there are rapid expansion of the aquaculture activities in Indian Sundarban part also for last decade. These are the few examples from the field. The next part actually we have studied about the embankment erosion from 100 kilometers from the river mouth. So this study actually provided us some understanding about the erosion level of the river banks and the river channel movement as well. So then actually we tried to understand like how best we can do, like there is a huge scope of nature-based solution. Because if we see these pictures I have taken last year during our field visit. So this island was in existence few years back. Now we can see this is not the flooding situation. This is the erosion, and the some of the islands, part of the islands actually already inside the river. So you can see the trees. So this tree is here. So actually it's about a kilometer almost is gone inside the river over like about 3 or 5 years of time. Another study we have done in Sindh province in Pakistan. So this part is also we have understood about the inundation across the shoreline as well as the erosion. So these two parameters we have studied in a grid formation, and then is amalgamated or integrated, and we could get a couple of pictures like in scenario of 2025, 2030, and 35 and 40. So for various level of sea level rise like 0.5, 1.0 meter, 1.5, and 2.0. So there are 4 cases we have studied for this coastal like area in Arabian Sea. This is the recent project going on to understand or develop a tool for Mekong River to understand the livelihood security with like about 100 plus indicators, and that tool could be very useful for the decision makers of the relevant ministries, especially the agriculture and aquaculture, so that the gaps can be addressed accordingly. So few publications on this area on the adaptation capacities. Okay, so this is one another project we have just completed in Bangladesh and Nepal on the climate resilient infrastructure for social transformation and adaptation. So we have developed a tool, a mobile-based tool and a dashboard to collect the community-based information. So the committee will be taking part of the decision-making process directly through their contribution with the geotagged photographs and few responses. So we have designed that tool with the support of the World Bank and ADPC, and it was right now practiced into 2 municipal area in Nepal and Bangladesh to understand the health of 2 infrastructure, like what is the condition of the road, what is the condition of the electrical systems and all. If there are some failure, the public can report that and it can be reflected to the dashboard and people can take immediate action on that. So the next part, I'd like to give you one project on a coalition of disaster resilient infrastructure group. So this is an international organization who are talking about critical infrastructure. I am fellow of that. And recently we have completed one project on multi-hazard risk indexing of the coastal critical infrastructure. This is one of the very, very important component for the coastal cities because there is a large number of investment going on. And if we don't understand the risk pattern and the future risk of that particular infrastructure, which is already existing there, and also some of the infrastructure is planned. So I believe like we need to really do a very, very detailed study on the critical infrastructure resilience assessment. So this study was placed in Thailand. So this is called Eastern Economic Corridor. This is one of the major business area of Thailand and contributing a large amount of GDP to the country as well in terms of the business. And there are 3 ports actually, 2 ports, 2 seaports, and 1 airport. So the 2 major seaports are located in this region. So one seaport is here, another seaport is in this region. So there are 2 seaports which is susceptible for many coastal hazards. We have tried to map out all the road networks and some specific networks, and specific infrastructure which is located in that particular area, and tried to do a detailed mapping. This is the first level of mapping as a pilot project for a very short period of time and with limited resources. We have done to understand the initial indexing with the few specific hazards like cyclone, flood, coastal erosion, and combining these 2 we call like multi-hazard with the specific weightage and ranking of these 3 hazards. Eventually we got this multi-hazard risk for the Eastern Economic Corridor consisting of this district. There are 2 provinces actually we have considered. And these are the coastal critical infrastructure which is located in this different level of risk zone. So we can see like a very high and high risk zone is this dark color, and we can also identify which are the infrastructure is located there, and we can go much detail about this. But this is the first-hand assessment. So in conclusion, we tried to develop like some specific recommendations like the exposure and sensitivity proved to be increased the risk, and adaptive capacity is also need to be followed. And the Thai government has a policy to invest and set up a EEC project in Chonburi and Rayong, like these 2 provinces what we have considered. And acknowledging the vulnerability of the coastal areas is very much critical and crucial also. So, and finally, I'd like to conclude with few key points for the cooperation of the South Asian countries. Like there should be some impact-based research and development. So the research we are doing as a organization, academic organization, I think along with the national government, we should plan some research which could be impactful and not only for the publication of the papers. So that research should be useful for the country. And there are transboundary collaboration and cooperation, which can also very useful, like the knowledge we are getting from Vietnam, knowledge we are getting from Bangladesh can be very, very useful for Indonesia, or maybe some case studies we are getting from Indonesia could be very useful for Bangladesh. So this type of cross-fertilization and cross-creation of knowledge, co-creation of knowledge is very, very important. And sharing of related data and information about the various hazards and other potential risks. And leveraging the academic and scientific diplomacy for the multi-hazard and systemic risk is one of the important components we need to address. I think like through this international conference, this is the platform actually the researcher can portray their activities and could also get the options for networking as well. So with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's give applause to Dr. Indrajit. Thank you very much, Dr. Indrajit. They have been presented very large issues, but multi-hazard, especially here. And if I can say, it's related about not only about food, agriculture, it's also about various aspects, impact of the hazard in various study sites, not only in India, Pakistan, Vietnam. We have heard a lot of understanding here from Dr. Indrajit. Now we go toward the question and answer session. I notice here there are two participant address in chat, Dr. Erwanto and Dr. Henry Martius. I invite also the others in Zoom online if you are also have question or respond. Dr. Erwanto, you would like to say your own words? I'll give you a times to that. From Universitas Lampung.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. My question is for Mr. John Glenn P. Senior from Philippines. Are there any implication of your research on microbial biodiversity below ground and also above ground? Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Erwanto. Dr. Henry Martius, are you also still online? And would you like to say your own question? Pak Dr. Henry? Okay, if not, then I would like to read that question from Dr. Henry Martius, especially to Prof. Bustanul and Dr. Indrajit. Prof. Bustanul and Dr. Indrajit have presented us the interested issues, information, and data about decreased food production capacity, increased contribution of food system to CO2 and emission, the impact of climate change on disaster that make current food system vulnerable and unresilient. My question is, how should global, regional, national, and local food system deal and cope with these issues? Seeming that you do not put enough attention and argumentation about this. Okay, so I'll give first to Dr. Glenn to respond to Dr. Erwanto's question.
Okay, sir. Hello, good morning again. So to the questions regarding the implications to the diversity of excuse me for a while. I'm going to for the diversity of microbial organisms. Yes, the diversity would be affected. It will be decreased because of the availability of the so-called foods. The result of the soil fertility that we've conducted does not reflect what we call the carbon and nitrogen as the limiting factors for the microbial activities in soil. But with a very low presence of organic matter as the sources of this carbon and nitrogen, so we can say that their population or the diversity would be decreased. And secondly, since the area is already open for agriculture, about 60% or 60% of this, and the erosion incidence is very high, and that also decrease the diversity of this microbial organism, in the sense that they will be the host, or what they call the habitat of this are the soil. Then relative to the result of the soil test, still there were low result for the NPK, because the areas the areas understudied are absent with the mining and other highly introduced agricultural activities, highly introduced with synthetic fertilizers, no? So even with that, the so-called opening of the area for agriculture can be considered as one of the factors to reduce the diversity of this microbial organism both below and above ground.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Erwanto, do you have any more response? in
Okay,
regard to
yes,
that
the
microbiome?
answer is clear enough. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Mr. Glenn.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Glenn. And now I
You're
invite
welcome,
Prof.
sir.
Bustanul to respond to what's been asked by Dr. Henry Martius.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Henry Martius. Your question is not easy to answer. Maybe later I will ask Dr. Indrajit as well. Yes, this is very important. I think we feel that, we understand that there is no, what do you call, convergence between planning and action between local, provincial government and national and global, or at least regional. That's also a very important concern. What I mentioned earlier is there's a commitment during G20. Commitment have to be translated into policy action. That's probably our job. If this conference could contribute to our policy makers to really change the focus, okay? Make concrete action how to translate the issues that we bring here into policy formulation and policy action, and probably empowerment to the society, especially for farmers. That's also the key. And how we as academics could play important roles in stimulating, become a catalyst to policy planning and policy implementation. That's also our jobs, I think. If we could clearly translate into this kind of action, I think we have made contribution. That's probably our call. Your concern is also my concern too. And probably without being getting frustration, we could start from the thing that we could be sure that we could achieve it. Okay, one by one. Probably if we could, in West Sumatra, you could promote more sustainable, what do you call, good agricultural practices. That's really contribute to the sustainability. That's probably one thing, one key. To answer the bigger issues, for example, okay, how to adopt the varieties, high-yielding varieties that could probably be more tolerant to the drought and flood. That's also contribute to adaptation of climate change and contributing to the sustainability. I just had a chat with the friends about the protection of our rice field. That's also our contribution, if we could do that. For example, we have program here in Indonesia about paddy land protection, lahan sawah yang dilindungi, LSD, okay? I think we could contribute our expertise to really work together, do monitoring and innovation to do that. And there is in addition to that, there's a specific program. If you have the land that's been set aside, allocated for LSD, you have in the program written, you have to have empowerment, promotion, subsidy, and so on. That's probably the thing that we could contribute. Otherwise, our land will be converted into non-agricultural use, and the production and productivity getting lower and lower. That's the action. If we think of about research, probably we could do a more complete analysis, say for example on panel data. Okay, how is the adoption level of new technology at the farmers level, and so on. That's probably my thought. This is also our concern. I think we have to work together to implement that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Bustano. Dr. Indrajit?
Yeah.
Would
Thank
you like to give response
I think
also
many
to
of the things.
Pak Henry Martius?
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Henry, for this interesting question. I think it's very, very important. Actually, already I think we got a few responses. In my presentation also, I mentioned about like there is a need of research which is action oriented, not only producing the journal papers and all. That is required, but at the same time, we also need to generate the need-based research. Say, for example, like if we can identify the
Zoom dengan ini Universitas Andalas Padang.
If you can identify the flood vulnerable areas, which are agriculture areas, so the agriculture crop can be changed, or we can try with the different crop tolerance, like drought tolerant crop or flood tolerant crops also can be placed there for the food security purposes. So I think the research should be need based and action oriented. That is one. Second, any of the recommendations and the policy can be co-designed and co-developed. That means like not from the top down, and also need to get information from the bottom up, that is community who actually will be impacted or use that particular policy's benefit, right? So these two major contribution, I think the research community need to provide for your questions. Like the third one is very interesting, like the impact of climate change on disasters that make current food system vulnerable. Yes, it is. In my study, we have showed you like the areas which are drought impacted. If we can map it properly, and if we can get the future projection as well, like what will be the future possibility of increasing area of drought or possible impact of. So this part is very much like a proper risk assessment or multi-hazard risk assessment is important.
Okay.
Co-development of plans.
Thank you, Dr. Indrajit. Pak Henry, now you are there. Maybe you could give response again, especially if you have opinions to challenge that. So what is possibly also your idea about the regional, national, and global system for food? Yes, Pak Henry.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, not signal. It's not good. Maybe you can just close your camera so your voice can be
Consideration
heard.
is only hit by the market system.
Pak Henry, the signal is not good. Maybe you can switch off your
Relation-
camera.
Hello?
Yeah, better switch off the camera and you can talk only with your voice. It's much better, possibly.
Okay. Go on.
No. Okay, continue. Continue, Pak Henry. Okay. Stop. Okay, I saw Ken Kennedy and Argus Purwotko. Oh no, I thought you raised your hand. Any others in this room? Okay. If there is Pak Yona Riza. Not here. Co-host is talking. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think you don't have any more question from audience, either online or this in room. And then I think we can conclude this session. First, I would like to thanks again to 3 amazing speaker for us, and let us give applause. I think not only knowledge and understanding that have been given to us, there are also some idea collaboration that can be addressed, especially what been presented by Dr. Indrajit about disaster management. There are a lot of model can be applied also in Indonesia especially. And also what been done by Dr. Glenn about watershed, sustainable watershed management. There are also, can be learned more by students here in Andalas. Hopefully they all benefit for us. I would like to thanks again to the committee, and let us close by Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Amin. And thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for amazing discussion in plenary one. Thank you so much, our moderator and keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the next one, we see the appreciation from International Conference on Sustainable Science and Development Innovation. First of all, we invite the Director of Graduate School, Professor Nursirwan, and also Organizing Committee, Mrs. Hasna, PhD, to take the place, and we give the certificate for our keynote speaker. First, Dr. Forrester John Glenn Senial from Philippines. Okay. This is the certificate. First, for our keynote speaker, Dr. Forrester John Glenn Senial from Philippines. Please show our certificate. Okay, this one is for Professor John Glenn P. Senial. Thank you so much, Professor, for your contribution. The second one is for Dr. Insinyur Indrajit Pal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your contribution in our international conference. And the third is for Professor Dr. Insinyur Bustanul Arifin, MSc, live from GSM Premier. This is the certificate appreciation for our professor as a keynote speaker. Certificate that came from Organizing Committee, Mrs. Hasna, PhD. And for plakat from our Director, Graduate School of Andalas University, Professor Nursirwan. Please give for our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Insinyur Bustanul Arifin, MSc, from Universitas Lampung, Indonesia. Let's giving applause for our keynote speaker in plenary one. Thank you so much for Dr. Forrester John Glenn Senial, maraming salamat po, and also for our keynote speaker. Let's take the stations first.
Okay. Okay, the next is photo session. Please, all speaker and audiences take your position.
Right. Also for our audiences virtually in our virtual Zoom, for Professor Forrester and also Professor Indrajit.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Give the best smile for us, ladies and gentlemen.
One more. Okay, please. Okay,
one more? Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you so much for all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to take your beginning positions.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy the traditional culture of Minangkabau. Tari Salendang from Rentak Serunai. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Before we going to the next parallel session, we have that traditional culture, especially from Rentak Serunai. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has joined us live from GHM Premier Hotel Padang and also virtually Zoom. We look the traditional culture that is a dance traditional from Minangkabau, presented by Rentak Serunai. But before that, so before we going to the traditional culture, we invite all organizing committee for international conference to take a photo sessions. Kami mohon kepada seluruh panitia, silakan kita untuk mengambil foto terlebih dahulu sebelum kita beralih kepada traditional culture from Rentak Serunai. So we invite all organizing committee for international conference with our director of graduate school program.
Ya baik, sekali lagi kepada Bapak Ibu semua, seluruh panitia, kita berfoto bersama terlebih dahulu. Kami mohon kesediaannya kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian, seluruh panitia yang berada di dalam ballroom ini. Kita foto bersama dulu.
Let's take a photo session first. Let's go, Bapak Ibu.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy the traditional culture of Minangkabau. Tari Salendang from Rentak Serunai. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is Tari Selendang from Rentak Serunai. Let's give an applause for the traditional culture from Minangkabau. So, once again, we invite all organizing committee with the director of graduate school to take a photo sessions. Please, for ladies and gentlemen, and take a position in front of our stage right now.
Baik, kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian, Bapak Ibu tamu undangan dan juga Bapak Ibu panitia, kita mengundang untuk foto bersama terlebih dahulu. Kami mohon kesediaannya kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian agar dapat kita berfoto bersama terlebih dahulu.
Right, please, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, mohon kita percepat. Setelah ini kita akan masuki pada sesi istirahat.
Baik, sekali lagi kami mengundang Bapak Ibu tamu undangan dan seluruh panitia yang saat ini berada di dalam ballroom. Ini
Yes.
kita berfoto bersama terlebih dahulu.
Right, and also all of the audiences and presenter to take the place, and we have that for the sessions first. Kami minta mohon bantuan dari tim kreatif agar dapat memandu foto bersama. Kami mohon kepada tim kreatif agar dapat memandu foto bersama.
Ya, baik Bapak Ibu semua, kita akan foto dulu. Oke, mohon bantuannya kepada kameramen, mungkin bisa ini dibantu dulu ya posisinya.
Yes, that one. Okay, so we take a first photo, formal dulu Bapak Ibu semuanya, boleh kita berikan senyum terbaik di depan kamera.
Ya,
Kita hitung mundur, 3, 2, 1. Lagi, 3, 2, 1.
Oke Bapak Ibu semua, kita gaya bebas, silakan Bapak Ibu semua.
Boleh jempolnya
Ya.
terlebih dahulu. Baik, 3, 2, 1. Boleh kita kasih kepalan tangan sukses luar biasa. Kalau kita bilang 3, 2, 1, bilang sukses semuanya.
Baik.
Baik, 3, 2, 1. Baik. Terima kasih banyak kepada Bapak Ibu semua. So ladies and gentlemen, please take your beginning positions. Thank you so much for our Director of Graduate School, and also organizing committee, and all of presenter and all audiences. Right, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate our international conference. So for that ambience, we feel happy, we feel excited for this international conference. Let's we look Tari Piriang from Rentak Serunai. amazing culture. So amazing culture from Rentak Serunai. So ladies and gentlemen, we have to break until 1 p.m. on Western Indonesian time. Please have some food and drink, also prayer, and you are kindly requested to be here again. Also for all that audiences that has joined us virtually and live from ZHM Premier Hotel Padang. So ladies and gentlemen, see you in 1 p.m. And also, that is, we give the information for all that presenter in the parallelizations. We have that room 1 in Mulia 8 of the GH Premier. So room 2 in Mulia 9 in this space. And also room 3, room 3 in Mulia 10. Bagi Bapak Ibu yang hadir secara luring, dapat kami informasikan untuk pembagian parallelizations untuk room 1 berada di Mulia 8, room 2 berada di Mulia 9, dan room 3 berada di Mulia 10.
Ya, Bapak Ibu semuanya, kita akan bertemu kembali pukul 13.00 sesuai dengan room yang telah dibagi tadi. Terima kasih kami ucapkan atas perhatian Bapak Ibu semua, sampai bertemu nanti.
Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known. Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields. For improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process. Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations.
Recording stopped.
Since its establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields. Welcome to the graduate program. Graduate program has
international collaborations. Publications and research must be able to provide solutions to the problems of the community. We try to improve the quality of learning.
Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Since its establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields.
Andalas University Postgraduate Program builds regional, national, and international collaborations. Publications and research must be able to provide solutions to the problems of the community. We try to improve the quality of learning in the midst of disruptive communication technology. We are ready to include in the trajectory of internationalization of research products and results. Our tagline is multidisciplinary collaborations and solutions.
Passion for improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process.
Two reasons to study in postgraduate Andalas University. Firstly, it is an academic environment. A lot of students come from overseas and local to study in the campus. Secondly, there are professors and doctors who are experts in their field, also supporting staff to help students during their study in the campus. Come along to postgraduate Andalas University. We offer
PhD and master degree in multidisciplinary field of study. Our field of study have been well accredited. We employ qualified instructors, all of them holding PhD degree. Please join us postgraduate program Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is committed to producing graduates who can compete at a national and international scale and contribute to the glory of the nation. The graduate program of Universitas Andalas consistently develops science that always aligns itself with the times and the needs of society. Graduate program of Universitas Andalas realizes that distance is sometimes an obstacle for prospective students who want to develop their knowledge at the master and doctoral levels. Therefore, we have designed a blended learning-based education program that enables students to participate in education process wherever they are.
I'm very proud to be alumni graduate program Andalas University. I got a lot of experience, knowledge, and capacity building in my career and related to my professional activity. I would like to say thanks to all highly competent lecturers. Don't be hesitate to join graduate program Andalas University.
With a passion for the glory of the nation, we develop research and innovative services involving lecturers and students that are expected to contribute to the solution of various community problems.
We are provided with the best facilities and of course, we promise the best services for students to finish study in time. We welcome students all over the world to reach the dream by studying at the postgraduate program Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is always ready to collaborate with various institutions that also have a solid commitment to developing science and technology for the glory of the nation. Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Since its establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields.
Andalas University postgraduate program builds regional, national, and international collaborations. Publications and research must be able to provide solutions to the problems of the community. We try to improve the quality of learning in the midst of disruptive communication technology. We are ready to include in the trajectory of internationalization of research products and results. Our tagline is multidisciplinary collaborations and solutions.
Passion for improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process.
Two reasons to study in postgraduate Andalas University. Firstly, it is an academic environment. A lot of students come from overseas and local to study in the campus. Secondly, there are professors and doctors who are experts in their field, also supporting staff to help students during their study in the campus. Come along to postgraduate Andalas University.
We offer PhD and master degree in multidisciplinary field of study. Our field of study have been well accredited. We employ qualified instructors, all of them holding PhD degree. Please join us postgraduate program at Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is committed to producing graduates who can compete at a national and international scale and contribute to the glory of the nation. The graduate program of Universitas Andalas consistently develops science that always aligns itself with the times and the needs of society. Graduate program of Universitas Andalas realizes that distance is sometimes an obstacle for prospective students who want to develop their knowledge at the master and doctoral levels. Therefore, we have designed a blended learning-based education program that enables students to participate in education process wherever they are.
I'm very proud to be alumni graduate program Andalas University. I got a lot of experience, knowledge, and capacity building in my career and related to my professional activity. I would like to say thanks to all highly competent lecturers. Don't be hesitant to join graduate program Andalas University.
With a passion for the glory of the nation, we develop research and innovative services involving lecturers and students that are expected to contribute to the solution of various community problems.
We are provided with the best facilities and of course, we promise the best services for students to finish study in time. We welcome students all over the world to reach the dream by studying at the postgraduate program Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is always ready to collaborate with various institutions that also have a solid commitment to developing science and technology for the glory of the nation. Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Since its establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields.
Andalas University Postgraduate Program builds regional, national, and international collaborations. Publications and research must be able to provide solutions to the problems of the community. We try to improve the quality of learning in the midst of disruptive communication technology. We are ready to include in the trajectory of internationalization of research products and results. Our tagline is multidisciplinary collaboration and solutions.
For improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process.
Two reasons to study in postgraduate Andalas University. Firstly, it is an academic environment. A lot of students come from overseas and local to study in the campus. Secondly, there are professors and doctors who are experts in their field, also supporting staff to help students during their study in the campus. Come along to postgraduate Andalas University.
We offer PhD and master degree in multidisciplinary field of study. Our field of study has been well accredited. We employ qualified instructors, all of them holding PhD degree. Please join us postgraduate program Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is committed to producing graduates who can compete at a national and international scale and contribute to the glory of the nation. The graduate program of Universitas Andalas consistently develops science that always aligns itself with the times and the needs of society. Graduate program of Universitas Andalas realizes that distance is sometimes an obstacle for prospective students who want to develop their knowledge at the master and doctoral levels. Therefore, we have designed a blended learning-based education program that enables students to participate in the process wherever they are, to contribute to the solution of various community problems.
We are providing with the best facilities and of course we promise the best services for students to finish study in time. We welcome students all over the world to reach the dream by studying at the postgraduate program at Andalas University.
The graduate program of Universitas Andalas is always ready to collaborate with various institutions that also have a solid commitment to developing science and technology for the glory of the nation. Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced establishment in 1984, the graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields.
University postgraduate program builds regional, national, and international collaborations. Publications and research must be able to provide solutions to the problems of the community. We try to improve the quality of learning in the midst of disruptive communication technology.
Welcome to the graduate program Universitas Andalas, located in Padang, the capital city of West Sumatra, which is famous for its natural beauty and also known as the home of numerous national figures who significantly influenced the establishment and development of the nations. Establishment in 1984, the graduate graduate program has gone through 6 periods of leaderships that have continuously improved the quality of education services to provide the greatest quality in education, thus making us the best choice to develop various scientific fields. For improving the quality of the education process, we offer various facilities in a systematic and dynamic learning process. Graduate program of Universitas Andalas is committed to producing graduates who can compete at a national and international scale and contribute to the glory of the nation. The graduate program of Universitas Andalas consistently develops science that always aligns itself with the times and the needs of society. Program of Universitas Andalas realizes that distance is sometimes an obstacle for prospective students who want to develop their knowledge at the master and doctoral levels. Therefore, we have designed a blended learning-based education program that enables students to participate in education process wherever they are. For the glory of the nation, we develop research and innovative services involving lecturers and students that are expected to contribute to the solution of various community problems.